and click I'm gonna hit play. All right. So welcome to our Monday motivation call. This is the system sandwich part 2. And it might feel like part 1 because we handled sort of the meat of the sandwich last week, where we talked about what to do if someone asks you, what is this? What are you doing? And we really wanted to nail down how to handle that first. And now tonight in part 2, we want to lay the foundational sort of piece of bread on our system sandwich. If you don't have this piece of bread, your sandwich will fall apart. Eating it will feel very stressful and very unsanitary. Thus ends my sandwich metaphor. So in order to have a sustainable business for the long haul, at the very basic level, you got to figure out, when are you going to do this? Like when are you going to go to work? How many hours can you realistically devote to something like this? That's a good thing for you to determine first. And then where do those hours fall within your week? Like exactly, like a specific time. So determining business hours is key. If you got a job in a brick and mortar store, you wouldn't just be like, well, all right, so I guess I'll just show up when I feel like it. You would get your hours. And in the same way, you're the boss of you. You should require that of yourself. So, or at least the most successful people that do this do require that of themselves. And the reason that this doesn't happen for a lot of people when it comes to social selling is because they get accidentally into this. They do one post, somebody starts asking them about it. They never planned to do this. All of a sudden they're like, oh, wow, people are interested. And now suddenly they have people to take care of. And then they realize that this might be beneficial to align myself with this brand, to make it a part of my social media persona. But they never then really shift into, oh, so basically I've just picked up another part-time job. And I have people that, and I say part-time job because you can do this part-time and it be a good idea. I have people that truly only have 2 to 3 hours a week. Their paycheck reflects that, and they're happy. Their products are free, fantastic. But then I have other people who decide to devote, 10 to 12 hours to that. And the smartest, most successful people really do treat it like a job, not a hobby. And one of my least favorite expressions that sort of gets batted around this industry is, you can work this business in the nooks and crannies of your day. And you can do that. I do that, but you cannot only do that. And the people that only do that, that sort of let their business happen to them rather than them happening to their business, they end up saying, you can't make any money at this. Because when you add up their 7 nooks and 5 crannies that they found, it adds up to about 17 minutes a week. And then they wonder why they're not making any money. Okay, now I'm not saying I don't fit stuff into the nooks and crannies, because when I was on the golf course the other day watching my son play, I was also having a dialogue with my team. I was also talking to a potential business builder that wanted to look into this, and I was setting up an appointment to meet with her today during my regular business hours that I've set for myself. So it happens all the time, and you can be at a different job and that happening. And now you're sort of double layering your earning income, and that's a great thing. All right, so let's say you're somebody that has 2 to 4 hours a week. Maybe you have a 9 to 5, or maybe, that's all you want to work, but you see the value of aligning yourself with Plexus. Here is what you will have time for. This is what your business hours should be filled with. Number one, most important thing, your social media presence. You have to have a positive online presence. You need to be posting something that people want to read at least 4 times a week. Not just because you're trying to boost your algorithm, though it will, but because you want people to want to be in your atmosphere. You want people to say, "Oh, Angela posted. I want to see what she says." Or Kathy just posted something. She's always inspiring or encouraging or funny or whatever. I did a whole video series about this on my YouTube channel. It's called Facing Facebook. This is great homework for anybody that hasn't listened to that. Jackie's going to put it in the comments of the chat. The link to the first episode. I did 5 episodes of Facing Facebook. I could do an entire 30 minutes on how you need to come across on Facebook. And maybe I will at some point. But for tonight, what I want to limit it to is this. You've got to stay positive. People do not trust their purchasing decisions to negative people, to whiners, to complainers, or to victims. Now, I'm not saying you can never be vulnerable and talk about a struggle that you might be going through, but if that's all you do, don't be surprised if you are not attracting people to put their purchasing decisions in your hands. You need to become someone that people say, I want to do what she's doing. And I know that she's still in the smack in the middle of her journey and she's got a while to go. But I love where I saw where she came from and where she is now and where she's headed. And that's a ride I want to get on. Okay. Now that takes you time. You got to plan that stuff out. But it's so important. And it's why I'm kind of at the point in this where I am only looking for people to present this business to that not only have a social media presence, but enjoy social media. Okay. And there's room for growth there. So if you're somebody that's like, oh my gosh, I don't love social media, you can get there. But if you're somebody that's like, oh, I hate social media, I'm never on social media, I don't want to get on social media, then I would probably say you can't be a social seller then. This is not going to be a fit for you. Okay. Because this is how things are done now. People buy things online from people they know, like, and trust online. And I actually had lunch the other day with somebody I haven't seen since high school who would be so good at this. She's so fun. She is just a likable human being. She has 0 social media, 0. And so it's just not a good use of my time because there's too many people who do enjoy being on social media and are good at it. Okay. So that's the first thing. We've got to figure out a social media presence. That involves photo shoots. It involves writing. It involves inspiring people. And everybody's going to look a little bit different. You shouldn't try to be me. You should try to be you. There's only one you. Second thing that you're going to fill that with is you got to post about Plexus at least once a week. If you're a leader, if you have a team, I would say twice a week, once about the product, once about the business opportunity. But if you're brand new and you're just kind of getting your feet wet, get good and consistent with one well-written post a week. And we have a workshop that we do every Wednesday morning where people can submit posts and we take a look at them and we help you rewrite them in a way that's going to attract people to you. Okay, so these 2 things are foundational. If you're not doing them and doing them consistently, because consistency builds trust, you won't be as successful. I had the call I had this morning. Literally, this lady has watched me for 6 years. I had no idea how much she was watching me because this was an appointment my husband set up for me and said, I think this lady would be great. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm friends with her on Facebook, but I mean, she just never comments on any of my stuff. So I got on and she knew all about it. She's like, I've been watching you. And so I think she's going to come on board. But anyway, but it's because she's like, she said to me, I know you would not be doing this for 6 years as consistently as you have been if this stuff didn't work and if you weren't making money. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Okay. Next up, you're going to need time to handle the response. It's going to take you time to respond to people who want info. It's going to take you time to hop on calls with people who want to sign up with you. It's going to take time for you to check your messages regularly. If you get on Facebook or check your messages less than once a day, that has to change. You have to be pretty fairly available. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be married to your phone, but you do need to be at least responsive. That means finding a time to post when you will be responsive. Okay. Finally, you gotta take care of your people who order. You cannot just sign them up and then hope it all goes well. And that's actually, that fourth thing is the top slice of the bread. And that is such a topic that we're going to handle that in part 3 of this, because I really want to devote some time to it. So that's going to happen in 2 weeks, because next week is our community call. So in early May, we'll finish up this series. So the above will take about, 2 to 4 hours of your week. That's not that much, to be honest. And you really should know when you're going to do that. And then you should really hold yourself to it. Now, I understand that handling inquiries and setting up those sorts of appointments aren't necessarily like as schedulable. You can't necessarily plan like, nope, I'm only going to do that from 7 to 8 p.m. Like, I get it. But if you can plan out everything else, then you can fit those calls into the nooks and crannies. Okay. So a lot of people do just this and they make several $100s a month. And that is nothing to sneeze at. A lot of people think, oh, well, that's not really that much. It is if you're spending 2 to 4 hours a week on it. That's let's see, that's 16 hours. Several $100s for 16 hours a month of work is actually more than, you could make in a lot of jobs. All right. Now, that's if you have 2 to 4 hours a week. Let's just say you are like, I got a little more than that. I got a little more than that. We have several options for you that are available. One of them is this call. This is 30 minutes every Monday night at 8. The first 3 Mondays are training calls for those who are building a business. You're on it right now. The last Monday is for our entire customer base. And it's there to not just provide community and enhance their journey, but your own journey. You need, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is people getting their friends on board and then they stop selling them on why it's important to continue. And you really need to spend time doing that. And you can do that through your social media as well, because they'll see your posts. That will resell them on the journey. The FabFit and Free page is a way that we use to resell them on the journey. And this call is another way. Both of these calls happen at this link. It's the link you're on. We'll put it in the chat one more time if you don't happen to have it saved. We suggest you save it to a note in your phone, so you don't always have to wonder, I wonder where that meeting is. It's always at this link. And speaking of the community call, which will happen next week, I am always looking for people to give product testimonies, like about their health, about how this has helped them health-wise. And I'm always looking for people to do a 2-minute business testimony on that call. If you would be willing to do that, would you please put a 1 in the comments if you haven't done it yet? And if you have done a health one and you want to do a business one, great, still put a 1 in the comments, and we'll write your name down. And if you're brand new, fantastic. I love brand new people sharing. You don't have to be a product or business veteran to be of use, but if you've been around a while, it's important for you to do it too, and to give back to this team and what we've added value to you. And that will come back to you. Okay. Finally, for people that really want to be intentional, especially in this quarter where all of the rank up bonuses are doubled, we do a call every weekday morning from 9 to 10. It's a great time to set aside to do some of the daily work that we'll talk about. That's that top piece of bread. We'll talk about it in the next session. And so we get on that call in the morning. For the first 15 minutes or so, I will either talk about something that we got to get done, something we need to invite people to. I'll make announcements, or sometimes I'll say, this situation came up for me yesterday and here's how I handled it. Okay, that's a great time that I do that. They're always streamed live to the Road to Diamond page. So let's say you're a teacher and you can't get on at 9 a.m. in the morning. You can watch it back at night, and it's a good use of your time, especially that first 20 minutes or so is a really good use of your time. And then the last, 30 to 40 minutes, there's a lot of silence as people are working, but sometimes a question will come up that you might need to know the answer to as well. So, okay. So I thought I would give you an idea of what my schedule is. Here is when, just to give you an idea of what it looks like when you're at the jewel level, because I want you to know what's possible and I want you to know what it takes as well. This adds up to about, well, I'll tell you what it adds up to when I'm done. So usually I get up in the morning and I have my morning routine. Hopefully we all have a morning routine. My day begins with prayer and meditation. And then I actually hang out with my husband, and I really try not to get on my phone until 8:30. That's when I do some prep work. I prepare for the morning call. The first thing I do, if you want to go back and watch our Managing Your Mind series, which is, I think, one of the most valuable series that we've done, because your success in this happens up here. It happens in your brain, which produces your thoughts. Your thoughts produce your emotions, and your emotions produce your actions or inactions. So if you have the wrong thoughts that are producing the wrong emotions, that can derail you before you begin. So I actually do thought work every single morning before I begin, to get my mind in the right place. Then from 9 to 10, I do our morning mindset call. And that's when most people are doing the daily work that we have to do in this business, the customer care that we'll talk about in 2 weeks. But a lot of times, because I'm helping you guys get that done, it's hard for me to get my own done in that hour. So I take from 10 to 11 to do that. Sometimes I can get it done. And honestly, from 11 to 12, I exercise, because that is part of our job, friends, to be a product of the product and to live a lifestyle that is consistent and congruent with health and wellness. How can you lead people to a better way of health and wellness life if you're not doing it yourself? So that's part of the job. Then maybe I'll take a break, and about 2 or 3 days a week, usually Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I spend about 2 to 3 hours in the afternoon creating content. This is when I might do a photo shoot. This is when I write a lot of different posts that I have, whether it's for my personal page, whether it's for the Road to Diamond page, whether it's for our customer page. It's when I prepare this call that we're on. That takes time. It's where I create events that help you sell your audience on things. And I don't always reinvent the wheel, but sometimes I do. And so that takes a lot of time. That is about 3 to 5 hours a day, depending on my day. I do our 30-minute weekly team call on Monday nights. And then there's some nooks and crannies. And so I'm gonna say I work about 25 hours a week. And that's a 6-figure income. And did I make that in the beginning? No, I did not. In the beginning, your work hours are going to be more than your pay warrants. Then you'll have a time where your work hours will about equal, but you're getting paid. And eventually there will come a time where your pay will outpace your hours. And I'm going to take it a step further and say that I would love to get to the place where I can retire. I can retire and still be earning six figures from everything I've spent time building right now. That's the goal. That would be amazing. Now, I'm not there yet. I don't think I'm even close to being there yet. A lot of people think once you're at the jewel level, oh, wow, it's just easy street. No, nope, it's not. I still have to work. I still have to work. So, all right. So for your assignment, what we're going to do for the last 8 minutes of this call is I want you to, first of all, determine how many hours can I realistically devote to this. And then I want you to write down when those are. When is that 2 hours a week? Is it 20 minutes a day? Is it all in one clump on a Saturday morning? When is it? Okay, and then I'm going to call on a couple people and we'll go through. So I'm going to actually stop recording. And before I do that, in 2 weeks, our final call, our third call, will be sort of the top piece of bread, and we're going to stick a toothpick with an olive in it that will hold the sandwich together. That talks about what happens after you sign somebody up. What do you need to do to then have a viable organization after that? So we'll do that in 2 weeks. And we'll see you then for that. Now,